we're going to go and have a phoner with Diego Milger, a University of Oregon earth scientist. So for people who are just joining, there was a tsunami warning that was issued that has since been cleared. But for folks who maybe just moved to the Pacific Northwest or have never heard of something like this happening, can you explain what that means and what it meant for something like a magnitude 7 to hit so close to the coast?
Yeah, good morning and good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Well, what it means is that we live in earthquake country in Northern California and Southern Oregon, and these events are a fact of life, and when they happen, sometimes they can be accompanied by significant tsunamis, and that's why we have these protocols for warning and evacuation in place.
Now, for those who do live here, the big one always is in the back of mind. Does this have anything to do to make us get closer to the big one?
Not necessarily, and that's very difficult to say. The big one is something that most folks here know has been looming for some time. There's a long history in the Pacific Northwest of much bigger events than this one, spanning back the last one to the year 1700. But unfortunately, it's really hard to say whether this one gets us closer or further from the big one. This event is comparably small compared to what we expect from the really big one. Even though I know it felt really strong to folks and that there's a flurry of activity right now, it's still a significant event, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're any closer to the next big event.
Now, when it comes to what could have potentially happened, what would you have expected to see on the coast if a tsunami did occur with that magnitude?
For an event of magnitude 7, even for like the one we had today, even if it had produced a tsunami, we would expect mostly moderate waves and strong currents. Still quite hazardous, so it's really important for people to follow the directions of their emergency managers and weather offices and evacuate the beaches when necessary. But for an event of this size, we would have expected waves probably no bigger than a few feet. For bigger events like the 1700 event and the big one that folks have been talking about, then yeah, we'd expect something much more significant like we've seen in other big events around the world, like in Japan, Indonesia, Alaska, Chile, and so on.
So when this earthquake hit, as originally it was thought to be a 7.3, now to 7, is it normal for it to stretch that far and high on the West Coast? It seemed like it was there was an effect for a large portion of California and Southern Oregon.
Yeah, this event is in a pretty active part of our territory in southern Cascadia, and it's not in an uncommon location. Big events here, especially around the cities of Eureka, Arcata, Ferndale, and so on, they're a fact of life. So folks there in Northern California are very well accustomed to earthquakes like this. So while it's a big, significant event, one with strong shaking and the scariness of the tsunami warning, it's not unprecedented for the region.
And as an earth scientist, when this does happen, what do you do after this? How do you learn from this?
Yeah, every earthquake is a learning opportunity, and we use this to try to prepare ourselves better and learn a little bit more about the earth underneath our feet. We have hundreds of stations deployed all across California and Oregon that measure these earthquakes. So over the next few weeks, we're going to take a deep dive into the data and see what we learn, see what this one tells us about the place we live in. And
then in your opinion, seeing all the chatter on Twitter and local officials tweeting, pushing it on Facebook, us trying to do our job as well, do you think that we handled the situation appropriately, or do you think we have some learning to do as far as making the public know when something like this happens to keep them safe?
Well, I think time will tell.
We get confirmation that we had...
Sorry, there was somebody over there as well.
I'm sorry, go ahead and repeat. We just lost you for a second.
Oh, I was saying that time will tell. I mean, there's always, of course, time for self-reflection and to see what we can do better. But I'm pleased to see that people are taking this very seriously and are responding to warnings and messaging from their local emergency offices. That's really, really important.
All right, Diego Milger, University of Oregon earth scientist, thank you for educating us this afternoon.